Welcome. Yes, so let's take a deep breath. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Another breath in, breath out, breath in, breath out. Ka pai, ka pai. Okay, so the reason I called for a webinar is because I feel like there's a real strong calling out there to learn about rungwa, but more than that, I feel like there's a really strong yearning to touch something deeper within that kōrero. So I'm doing these types of webinars because a lot of you are busy. You can't get to workshops. You can't, for whatever reason, you've got so many things on. There's kids, mahi, that you can't get out there. But I know that there's a calling, and so this is the reason for webinars and things like that, to be able to support you on your journey wherever you are. And if our ancestors, our tupuna, were great visionaries. They were fantastic visionaries, that they would sit and reflect 50 years, 100 years, 200 years ahead, and to see what where the pathway was going for their descendants, for their mokopuna. And they would look ahead and they would see what was happening now, and what they could put in place to protect their mokopuna going forward. So they would look ahead. And one of the things that I've been doing is just looking ahead, and the way that everything seems to be going is, obviously everything's online. It's for convenience. It's online webinars, lots of things. It's just because it's convenient, but that is the way it's going. That is the way it is. The workshops still happen, and wānanga still happen for those that can get there. But things like this are just there to support you, because looking ahead, this is what it will most probably be like. And I talk about the not a disconnection, but I talk about the hinengaro and the tinana being like two different dimensions at the moment. The hinengaro is flying ahead. It's so fast, and it's just, we're living in a virtual reality, and it's a very real world for a lot of people, especially a lot of our rangatahi. It's a very real world, and so it's a real world. And so to be able to pull our tinana along, because our tinana is in the physical dimension, and it feels really dense, and to pull that along feels really heavy. And so there seems to be like a disconnection between the hinengaro, ranginui, and the tinana papatuanuku. So the key is to bring them together, or to bring balance into both dimensions. And so we can do that with lots of things. We can do that with rungwa being one, lots of other meditation, reflection, writing, lots of things that we can do. But this is something that's really being shown to me about where we're heading and how we can bring balance. So one of the questions that I reflected on tonight for this webinar is, what is rungwa? What is rungwa? And we all tend to think that it is it's a health system. It's about medicines and treatments, which it is. But what it's also about bringing balance, because rungwa is about bringing balance into the body, the physical body, the whānau, the environment, and it's bringing balance. So in the old days, our tupuna would they would know their bodies so well that they knew how to navigate their bodies. They knew they were very aware of everything that was going on in their hinengaro, their tinana. They could feel and navigate the energies around them and know what was happening at any one time. If there was an imbalance, they could feel that. So when you're finely tuned to everything around you, you are susceptible to everything around you, the environment and your whānau, people. If there's a slight imbalance, you can spot it, you can sense it, you can feel it, you can see it. And they would have, right at the onset, they would have noticed it and been aware and been aware of that symptom, that imbalance. And then they would have used whatever they could to bring the balance back into place. So, and that could have been with plants, with rongoa rākau, and to bring that balance back. So for me, that's my understanding of what rongoa is. It's about bringing balance back into not only our body, but our hinengaro, our mind, our wairua, our spirituality, and our whānau, and also our environment. So bringing balance, understanding the balance, and what can be, and how to discern the imbalance. So that is what rongoa is. And if you are on a hikoi of learning rongoa, I always strongly encourage people to strengthen and build their awareness of their sensory perceptions, their wairua, their intuition, the whatu manawa, which is the third eye, the manawa, the pū manawa, and really understanding what these are and knowing how to navigate them, knowing how to sense them. So just practicing and trusting our intuition. So that is my understanding of what rongoa is. I'm just looking at my notes as well. And if does anyone have any questions on that? If you do have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. If you wanted to type them in on the side there. Otherwise, I'll carry on. But if you've got questions, just type them in. The other one is, because I know that we'll all be on our different stages of learning, of our growth with studying rongoa. So I'll just go with the flow. So I wanted to talk about one of the questions that I get asked a lot, and I see it a lot on Facebook. There's a lot of rongoa pages, and there's questions thrown out there. What rongoa can I use for something like diabetes, or what can I use for arthritis? They're really, really broad questions, and when a question like that is put to me, what I've noticed with a word like diabetes, to me it's just a word that's in a cloud that just sits there. It's not permeable. I can't read it. I don't understand what that is. In my mind, I hear diabetes, but I see nothing. So I'm just using diabetes as an example. So when a person says to me, what rongoa can I use for diabetes? And this, I want you to, it doesn't have to be on someone that you know, it can be yourself as well. These are the questions that you might want to ask yourself. What can I use for diabetes? I would always ask them, what is currently happening in your body? What is currently happening in your body? Because I don't understand diabetes. And so they'll give me that pathway of what's happening and whatever blockage or whatever is using too much or not using enough, they'll give me that. And then I'll ask what needs to happen to clear that pathway. What needs to happen to clear that pathway. And what I'm doing there is I'm actually empowering the person that's asking the question how to read that and how to see that for themselves, what actually needs to happen. Otherwise, so you're empowering them with their own knowledge of what to do. So when they know that they can, they know what they have to do to clear the pathway, they might say, my pancreas is not producing enough insulin. I'll ask what is insulin. I'll get them to break it right down and what is insulin, and then because they always know what's going on, they always know what because they've done their homework, and then I'll say what needs to happen. Then what needs to happen for that pathway to be clear? Well, I mean, my pancreas needs to produce insulin, and so that's a better pathway to see, to understand, to sense, to feel, to see, to use our whatu manawa to understand what plants can be also brought in to be able to use to work with that pathway. So that is just a very brief, what's the word? Explanation of what you can do when people ask you those questions. But you can also ask, if you have something going on in your body currently, find out what is happening currently in your body. If you're dealing with a symptom or an illness, what is happening in your body? And then ask the question, what needs to happen to clear that pathway? What needs to happen? So when you know what needs to happen, that's when the plants will come in. You'll see what plants you can work with to actually combat that. I hope that makes sense. That it could be a little bit too deep for some, but just know just know that there will be a time and a place where you will ask that question, and it's a very important question that you can ask for yourself in any situation when there's an illness or a symptom that's happening. It's really great. You must be all understanding because I haven't got any questions there, which is good. Yeah, so it's really important to know, thanks Luana, it's really important to know the physical medicine of rākau. It really is important to know what the physical medicine is of rākau. What's taught out there, what you find in books, what you Google. It's important to know that, but it's equally important, actually not equally, it's more important to know the wairua of what the rākau can do. That is the most important, and that's what makes rongoa. It is the wairuatanga of rākau and how we use our own wairuatanga to connect with those plants. How we see the pathway of mamai, of an illness, is all done through wairuatanga. So when I work with people who are learning rongoa, I always start with trying to get them to discern their own body and to understand their own body and to let go of releasing any emotional healing. So deep healing has to occur. It really does. It has to occur for the body to be free of any filters, to be able to learn rongoa, to go deep into the rongoa journey. Because when you're clear of those emotional blockages and things like that, then you're an open vessel for kōrero to come through, to be able to connect with rākau in a deeper way. So I always encourage people to start to do their healing journey, and they can do it with rongoa. So the rongoa always presents itself at each step of your healing journey. So and it's usually emotional. We have to work through the emotional blockages, and also we have to deal with the trauma or any trauma that is lingering there. And when you make that decision to do the rongoa journey, and to there's no turning back. When you make that decision, there's a no turning back zone. You're on this healing journey, and you're working with the plants, and the more that you release and let go, the deeper you can go with rākau, and to understanding a lot more. So great, I have a question here. Okay, let's see. So Joanne, are you saying that we are using our intuition and deeper understanding on a spiritual level to work with rongoa rākau? I strongly encourage to build that muscle, that intuitive muscle, just to keep using it and to trust it. You know, the biggest issue, because we all have our wairuatanga, our intuition is there. We all have it. The biggest wall is the trusting of it, trusting the intuition, trusting those visions, those daydreams, things that we see. It's the blockages in trusting that. So that's what I encourage to do, is having to trust your intuition, and that just comes with practice. It comes with practice, and you do it with people that are on the same journey as you. Because then you can confirm for each other, verify for each other what you're seeing when you're working with rākau. So absolutely, yes, I am saying that using your intuition and deeper understanding on a spiritual level, that is the first place I would start. First place, which means to start clearing. Yeah. So I said that it's important to know the physical medicine. So build and strengthen the whatu manawa, the manawa. I want to start with the manawa, because for me that's my my sensory organ. If this doesn't feel right, then it's not right. I constantly rely on my heart, the manawa, the sensory organ, to know whether I'm on the right track. And it takes practice to move from this space to this space, to move from the hinengaro, the mind, not from the whatu manawa, but to move from this space, the head, to the manawa, to the heart, to be able to sense. And it takes a lot. And some of the workshops that I do is actually train people to move from this space to here easily. And it's just a matter of sensing from here in the head. So we can do it very quickly if you want to. So you're thinking in your head, so you move all your attention into your head, not to the pineal, but just into your head. You've got the energy in your head. Now bring your attention to your heart. And feel what the heart area is doing. And the heart area is like a beacon. It's like a beacon. It's like it radiates. It's electromagnetic fields, and it flows out, and it senses everything around you. And we don't use it enough because we're always from here. And when we can pick up and sense everything around us from our manawa. Okay, all right. So is it from me? I'll say a closing karakia, and I just want to thank you all for joining me tonight for our first webinar. I really like that, actually. Quite like doing a webinar from the comfort of my own home. So yeah, so we'll do a closing karakia and then we'll end the session for the evening. Okay. Kia tātou katoa, te ata whai o tō tātou ariki ai karaiti, me te aroha o te atua, me te whiwhinga tahikitanga ko te wairua tapu ake, amene. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou katoa, and I hope to see you in a month's time. Ka kite anō, ko mai.